One of the things that causes lots of problems to lots of people, including myself, is settling utility bills. It's not exclusively utility bills, but this is a good example. One of the problems is that you get the same account running before death and after death, so we have a pre-death liability and we have an administrative expense, and also amounts are coming in all through the period of administration, little bills, and most of them are estimates, so the chances are you're going to have to make an adjustment towards the end. So the way that I do this on Brightcel is as follows. The first thing is you do need to record the liabilities, of course. I've actually put some in, and you can see here we've got Dr. No nuclear, electricity, £85.36. That's a liability. That's a date. That's one due at date of death. I've also put in some for the period of administration. I've just called it electricity. You'll see that there is an electricity category. Remember, you can change all these categories. If you wanted to have something more specific, you can do that. But here there will be electricity somewhere on this list. There it is. So that's all ready. And I put in two amounts that came in post-death, £46.50 and £50.60. So those are showing as outstanding. And if we have a look up here, they're the only liabilities post-death that are outstanding. And we have them together. They've been added up. Electricity, £97.10. And if we look down at the bottom here, that's the total of our outstanding administration expenses, £97.10. Now obviously we've got some pre-death electricity to add to that as well, but for now that's the position post-death. So what would I do about paying this? Well, this is going to seem slightly back to front, but it is a bit of a workaround, but it does actually work. So this is how I would do it. Here I would show the amount as having been paid, minus, it's red, £46.50, and let's just put a date. Let's say it's the 24th of May 16, and I need to find an account to pay it from. Now I could do, for example, a suspense account or unknown. Those would both work, but I think what I'm going to do instead is to go and I'll tell you what, I'll take this off for now. I'm going to create an account. So we do that by going back to the record key data, and we're going to have a third-party payer. This is why it's slightly back to front, because actually this isn't a third-party payer. This is an account which we're going to be having to pay money to. But if you spend a little time scratching your head, you'll see that the principle is more or less the same. So let's just call this utilities. You could have a separate one for electricity, a separate one for gas. You want to, however you want to do that, you can do it that way. But I'm just going to call this utilities for now. And if I go back to paying administrative expenses, I'm hoping that I will find a bank account called utilities. There it is. So I can seem to pay from that. Maybe that I'm actually not paying anything just yet, but you will see in a moment. I'm going to do this for this one as well, minus £50.60. Let's put the same date, just because I can't be bothered to think of a different one. Utilities again. Straight away you can see that that's all been paid off now according to the accounts. Well, we know that it hasn't actually been paid because we didn't have any money in that account. But what I'm also going to do, I'm going to use the settle pre-death liabilities. We're going to settle that one out of that same account. There's the electricity. Let's have 25th June 16 minus £83.36. 30, yeah, 30. 6, and the account from which we're paying, there it is again, utilities. So according to the system then, all of this has been, according to the basic principles, everything has been paid. Let's have a look at the balance sheet. Now, debts due at date of death, well, we don't know about that. We can't remember quite what that is, but we think that's not going to include the utility. But what we can say for certain is all that post-death liability, which would be here if there was any, is gone. So according to the balance sheet, that amount has been paid. But if we look up here, we've now got an account, it's saying it's a cash account, which has got a minus £180.46 balance. Well, we know it's not a cash account, but it is, it's effectively a ledger. If you were an accountant or you have accountancy experience, this idea of nominal ledger will be very familiar to you. In effect, we have a nominal ledger which has got minus £180.46. So that shows on the balance sheet that we still owe that money. And if we want to have a look at that in detail, we can go to the cash balances. This takes a moment to work out. Probably take less time on your computer because I suspect it's more powerful than this one. And if we scroll down, we will find, all being well, an account called utilities. £46.50, £50.60 and £83.36. So those are all showing there, and again if we want to go and have a look at those we can click on that. It takes us back to where we were. That's right, that's what we remember. We can go back to the nominal ledger page if you like. Now the question becomes, how do we pay that? Well, let's say that we decide that we are going to pay it off. So what we're going to do is we are going to collect or transfer some cash, because that's how we work in and out of accounts. So I'm going to put here minus 180. Let's say that we pay off 90. Well, let's say we pay off £100. And I'm going to put, wait a minute, this is a transfer of cash, isn't it? So we do that. Let's have a date of 30th of June 16. We paid into the utilities account. And it's coming out of client account, let's say. Now, if we go back to the balance sheet, we see that our utilities has reduced from minus 180 to minus 80, and we can see what that looks like on the cash balances. Scroll down to the bottom to find this one. There it is again, and you can see that that £100 has been credited. Now, of course, I've done that. Let's just assume for a moment then that when we've come to it, we've actually paid the right amount of money, or let's say that the estimates that were given on these electricity bills were actually wrong, and when the property was sold, where the electricity was supplied, then there's a reading of the meter, and that results in, let's say, a credit on the account or a reduction on the bills that we've had. So those numbers that we put in so far are the value of the bills. Let's say that there was an over billing of £35.19. Now you'll see that is, I've deliberately put a positive number there. Normally these are all going to be negative numbers because they're red, but what we're actually saying is this is not a liability, it's an undoing of a liability. So it's a sort of an asset, if you like, or a credit going the other way. We'll put that onto electricity. Find the electricity account, there it is. And now we're going to credit it, £35.19. I'm going to keep with the system of paying that to utilities, so that we get our utility bill all on a single ledger. And now what that will show us is, we go back to the ledger, we've had a credit of £35.19, or that was the adjustment, and that shows that actually what's happened is that we still owe £45.27. We owed all of those amounts, we paid 100, and we had a credit of £35.19. So the actual amount that is due away from the estate is £45.27, and we can pay that by doing a transfer of cash, £45.27, put a date, 2nd of July 16, utilities again, there we are, and for client account. Let's have a look at the various places. Balance sheet, let's hope we've got a zero balance there now. Well, certainly the utilities is gone. That's good news. And we can go and look at the cash balances, look at the nominal ledger. And we will see that is now down to zero. It's a bit of a roundabout way, but if you think of it as creating, rather than making payments to and from the utility company, if you think of creating a separate account on which the various bills are recorded, the payments are recorded, then you can combine your pre and your post death, and you can make your payments on account as you go, and then you can make the adjustments, and all of that will then square up when you come to the end and you've settled your bills.